Morning everybody, and fantastic to see you all again. So I've got a new lens. This is a new 17 to 28mm f2.8 from Nikon, and it's part of a new trinity of lenses. But Nikon have got so many lenses, so why other lenses? More importantly, the photographer's toolkit is back, and this is going to be a series of videos that I do off the cuff basically on a weekday, and you need to make sure that you've got the bell icon pressed down below, and if you do subscribe then that'd be much appreciated as well, because I don't know exactly when I'm going to be publishing these videos, but they're going to be around things like lenses, cameras, equipment, maybe my clothing, backpacks, all sorts of things that I don't often talk about in my main videos. On my Sunday videos, I'm going to talk about it in these videos. Okay, so on to these. So when I first started shooting with the Nikon Z series and the mirrorless cameras, you know, I got my first Z7, this is actually a Z7 II, but my first Z7, God, was it 4 years ago, something like that, maybe even longer. And there wasn't a lot of lenses out, I have to be honest. There was a lack of Z series lenses, but then Nikon pulled up the socks and they've started to produce some amazing lenses, particularly these lenses here, which are the f2.8 S line lenses, the 14 to 24, the 24 to 70, and the 70 to 200. And it's that range really that you want to cover as a photographer, whether you're a portrait photographer, a landscape photographer, anything photographer. Apart from wildlife, where you're going to go a bit longer, usually that 24 to 200 is really important. But with all these lenses, why have so many lenses? Is there too many? Is there just too much choice? But what it comes down to is things like cost, very important. These are going to be more expensive than these lenses, the f4 lenses. It comes down to things like quality. That's really important. If you've got the money to spend and you want the best quality, you're not worried about things like weight, then that's super important. Also, weather sealing. Some lenses are going to have better weather sealing than others. And then there's things like flexibility, whether you're going to have something like this, which is the 24 to 200mm lens, or whether you're just happy with this one, like the 17 to 28mm that's just come out. And I'm going to explain at the end of the video what I use, what my favourite lenses are for woodland, seascapes and vistas. But before we do that, we're going to go out and try out this lens, and actually this lens as well, which is its sort of sister, the 28 to 75 f2.8. Before we go out, I'm going to go tomorrow morning to the sea, hopefully, and take some coastal shots. Let me just briefly explain what's happening here. So we've got these more expensive f2.8 top of the range lenses. They're great, amazing quality. And then we've got these f4 lenses, and actually these f4 lenses, as I'll tell you later, are some of my favorite lenses. You know, this one compared to this one, you can see there's a big difference in size. So why would you get an f2.8 over an f4, and why would you get this new trinity of lenses? There's the 17 to 28, the 28 to 75, and also the new lens that's being announced but isn't out yet, the 70 to 180. We don't know what the aperture of that's going to be, whether it's going to be f2.8 or f4, but that's going to fit into these three lenses here as fast lenses that are not S-line lenses. They're not as weather sealed as the others. But why have those? What's, you know, from a landscape photographer point of view, is there any need for them? So let's go and try them out. I'm really looking forward to it. I love new tech. And then we'll come back here and have a chat. I'm here at the beach and it is looking pretty good. The clouds are looking good. I'm a little bit late. They're catching the sun just a little bit, which looks fantastic. So we're going to head out, see if we can find a composition, and yeah, I think it's going to be nice. I've not been here for probably 6 months, so I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, so rushing, there's light, amazing light everywhere, and at the moment I've got the 24 to 120, which is probably my go-to lens at the moment. I absolutely love it. It's super sharp, and it just means that if you've got something like this rainbow, it gives me, you know, from sort of 24mm all the way to 120, all the way to 120, and I can pick out
those amazing details like that. Oh, that's really nice. Just need something to frame that now. Okay, I found a really nice bit of sand down there with the rainbow in the background, so I'm going to switch out for the 17 to 28mm lens and we'll give it a go down here. I think it should be wide enough. One of the problems with the 17mm range that you just got to think about if you're getting that lens, you might want the f2.8, but it doesn't quite go as wide as the usual lenses I use, which are the 14 to 30 or 14 to 24. And the sun's coming out now. Okay, this is so nice. The wind has obviously swept the sand a little bit, and I've got these really interesting sort of patterns that you can see down here. And actually the 17mm is perfect for this. It's just, I'm quite low. I've got this quite close to the lens here. And because I've not got a huge amount of a sky in, because the interest in sky is quite low, then it works really, really well. So I'm just shooting at 17mm. I've got it at f10, and I'm going to focus stack this, taking 2 shots. This is amazing, really amazing. Okay, so I've got a bit of a shot here with these grasses that are catching the sun now, which looks amazing. I wish I could pause the sun because the light just looks so good at the moment, but it's just not going to last, is it? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do something just a little bit more creative. I've got an f2.8 lens, so we might as well have a play about with it. And it's not something I usually do, but I've got it around about 24mm on this zoom ring here, and the zoom ring is quite nice actually. It's quite a nice feel to it, which is quite good, because the body is composite, I think. I don't think it's a metal body. I think it's metal internals, it's a metal mount, but it's a composite body. But the internal zoom is nice. It's not an external zoom, which is actually on my S-line lens is an external zoom. I like that internal zoom mechanism. So I've just got these grasses out of focus down here, and that looks really nice, I think. So I'm going to take this, just got to be a little bit careful about how it's all aligned. It's a little bit abstract, and then I'm going to take another one similar over there. And then I think we're going to put on my 24 to 120, which is my favorite lens, and see if I can grab some shots with that, maybe a little bit closer up, maybe try and get these grasses a little bit more abstract as well. Okay, so these grasses are catching the sun. One thing you've got to be careful of at sunrise when you're on a west coast beach, because usually you'd think it would be the other way around, is that obviously the sun is quite often behind me because I'm shooting out to sea. So I've just got to watch for my shadows a little bit. But I've got these grasses and they're moving nicely in the wind, and so I've just got a long exposure, and to do that I've put a filter on. One of the things actually with this lens, which is better than the 14 to 24 f2.8, is that it's a 67mm filter thread, And because it only goes into 17mm, you're not going to get vignetting with just like standard filters. So the case filters are perfect for it, and it's the same really with the 14 to 30mm lens as well, that you can fit the filters on that. But it's handy for doing this. It's a real pain when you have a wide angle lens where you've got to have big filters like 100mm filters or something like that. So I'm going to take this, it's going to be a 2-second exposure. I'm just waiting for a little bit of wind, and I think it's quite nice actually. There's a nice sort of pattern through, and then we've just got to embrace the wind turbines over there as well. But yeah, looking pretty good. Okay, I've got my 24 to 120 lens on again now, and I found maybe a little bit of an abstract composition here that you can just about see the sea, but I really like the patterns here and how the low light's just casting across them. I got a few shots in the landscape format as well, which were good. I've actually got my 24 to 120 on because I want to go a little bit further, so I'm at 35mm on this. It's interesting really when you look at this new trinity of lenses that they've got different focal lengths, and I think the 17 to 28 lens, I think that's probably okay. You're going to miss a little bit of that wider end. I think it's amazing that like 1mm will take. Yeah, so it's quite a nice composition here. I've got that, I've got the little bit of grasses there, and then up here there's some cloud which looks quite nice as well. I've just got to watch don't blow the highlights on that, and I don't think I've got to focus stack this because this isn't that close. Looks spectacular. The best of the light's gone, but I still think there's a lot of images to get, and just try out these amazing Nikon lenses. So this is the lens that's been out for a while, the 28 to 75mm f2.8, and I think this is such a versatile lens. I think if you're the sort of occasional landscape photographer where you're going to do a bit of landscape photography, you're going to take photos of your pet, you're going to maybe do some portraits, then this is perfect because you want that sort of f2.8, you want a faster lens, you want to be able to create shallower depth of field, and I think that's when this trinity, this more affordable trinity comes in really, and I'm really excited about the 70 to 180 lens that comes out. We don't know whether it's going to be f2.8 or f4 yet, but that'll be really interesting because I'm sure that's going to be lighter than the 70 to 200. So I'm going to take this shot with this 28 to 75. What I would say is I'd probably prefer it to be a 24 to 70, but I think they've done it like this just to try and create a lens that's small. So I'm going to take this amazing pattern here. I've gone a little bit late because the sun's a little bit high now, but there's a nice background. There's some wind turbines which don't look amazing, but I think for the subject in the background will look okay in this shot. And yeah, again, the light's not perfect because we could do with the light just a little bit further over in that direction, I think, so it creates a more sort of raking light over here and a bit more side light on the grasses. I've got this shot now, and I think it's pretty good. I think I'll probably do a low down one as well. And this is where the 28, you just want a little bit wider. I'd love to be able to just go to 24 now in this shot. So probably what I'll do is I'll put the 17 to 28 back on and we'll do a wider shot. But it's quite nice. I've got this really nice pattern down here. I've tried to balance it a little bit on this side, which I think works quite well. And then I've just tried to be careful about where I cut off the clouds at the top. You can't see the full frame here. The video is slightly different than the photo, but I think this looks pretty good. Unfortunately, there's a bird. You might be able to see it in there, but there's a bird that's walked right through this amazing sand dune, which is a shame.
Right, so that was a pretty epic morning of photography, and yeah, I think I got something okay. I mean, I didn't get anything particularly special. I arrived a little bit too late, if I'm honest, which wasn't great. Always arrive like 30-40 minutes before you're actually going to take a sunrise. Not great, but these lenses are good. This new one, this 17-28, is good. As I said, really, I think in the video I was talking about, you know, for a landscape photographer, I would never choose this 17-28 over the 14-30. They weigh about the same, they cost about the same. I think this new one's slightly cheaper, but this one's an S line, so it's slightly better weather sealing, although these will be amazing. Filter-wise, they're probably about the same, but the key thing is, for a landscape photographer, what you really, really want is you want to be able to get as wide as possible, and that's why this lens is better. And you're not too bothered about the speed of the lens. So I'm not really too bothered about going from f4 to f2.8. I'm more care about quality, weight, and yeah, that range going down to 14 millimeters is super important. And then, you know, it depends whether I feel like I can carry things a long way, whether I go for the 14-24, which is quite a lot heavier, or the 14-30. But if you're a landscape photographer that maybe does some pet photography, maybe likes to do some portraits, then I think this 17 millimeters is not that bad. You know, it's probably not quite as wide as you want, but it is got f2.8, which if you're going to shoot your dog like Pebbles or somebody really close up, you're going to get some amazing bokeh on that, and that's going to be good. If I'm honest though, I'd probably still go for this lens, because I think f4, when you're getting close like that, I'll probably look okay. So I think that these lenses, this new trinity of lenses that's more affordable than this f2.8 lenses, they're going to be more for either a portrait photographer or a landscape photographer that's into doing other things. Otherwise, I probably move them to the side and stick with these f4 lenses. And I probably go, my favorite lenses, and let's talk about it from a point of view of different genres. So if I'm doing woodland, I'll probably be shooting with my 24-120 S-line lens. This lens is just the best lens I think I've ever owned. It's versatile, it's great that you have the extra reach, it's amazing quality. So this is my go-to lens for woodland, really. If I'm shooting waterfalls, then I'll probably go for this one, the 14-24, because I'm not walking that far, so I probably want the better quality. But the problem with that is that the filter system on it's not as easy. You know, it needs 105mm filters, so that's a bit trickier. Now, if I'm shooting seascapes, then I'm definitely going to want my 70-200. This is fantastic for just picking stuff out, which I often do in seascapes, especially with waves. So having that extra reach is important. I want quality as well. And then sometimes I will want that faster lens, so that's important. And I probably prefer that over my 24-70, because I feel like this is just a little bit better weather seal being an S-line lens. And then I probably would go again for my 24-120 lens for seascapes. I think that's, again, a great lens. And then probably for seascapes, I'll go for my 14-30. Because I think, again, just thinking about filters, I'm always going to want a filter on it. And just that versatility of filters for seascapes is really important. And this is just fantastic. At the moment, I've got a new case adapter ring on it, and I'll tell you more about these case filters. I don't think they're quite out yet, but this is amazing. It means I can put the lens hood on as well and have the filters on, which is super special. And then for vistas, it's more for me about how far I have to walk, really. And I can't walk a long way with heavy weights because of my back. I'm obviously recovering from an operation. So then I'm probably looking at the 24-200. This is probably not as good quality, but it's got amazing range. I know that I could probably just take this one lens if I'm hiking a long way on my, Z7 II body. I can probably do all my filming and all my stills with that lens. But if I'm feeling a little bit stronger, then maybe I'll take the 24-120 and the 70-200. Or I may take, if I'm now going to do some wide angle stuff when I'm hiking, maybe there's some waterfalls, some close up rocks that I know I'm going to focus on, then again, I'll probably take my 14-30 and my 24-120. So for me, personally, I'll sacrifice a little bit of quality for weight, and I'll sacrifice a little bit of quality for versatility sometimes as well. So, the 14-30 is better than the 14-24 because I've got to put a filter on that. So there's a lot of things to talk about there. These lenses here, I don't think are the best for a landscape photographer if that's what you're really keen on doing, but I definitely think they're really good, these new f2.8 lenses, if you want an affordable fast lens and you want to do something more than just landscape photography. You like doing different genres. Maybe you want to go and do some street photography, some portrait photography. But it's amazing that we've got this choice now as photographers. And are there too many lenses? Well, I don't think there is actually, because I think there's niches for all these different lenses. I'm super lucky being a Nikon ambassador that I get to try these lenses and decide which ones I like. But I do use, I won't be using these lenses. These are going to be going back to Nikon. But the other lenses I use all the time, and it just depends on how far I'm going to travel, etc. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. I hope you enjoyed the photos that I took in the field. It was an amazing morning. And just before I go, if you've got any ideas for the photographer's toolkit, put them in the comments below and I'll look at them and I'll choose one for the next video. Thanks ever so much for watching. Until next Sunday, or until Sunday, bye.